I think if something can be if you have because the book happens in you before you actually start saying the words. It was supposed to be just another quiet event, a Windsor charity luncheon held behind closed doors within the castle walls. No press, there are no cameras, just a small group of royals, a few long-serving aides, and a sense of calm after a year of turmoil. But that calm was shattered in seconds because someone either intentionally or unintentionally left a recording device active. And what it found was nothing short of a revelation. What about the voice, Queen Camilla? What are the words? A biting whispered comment about Catherine, Princess of Wales. She was not made for this life, too thin-skinned, too cautious. She'll never make it. The comment was not made to a reporter. It was not part of the speech. It was private, off the cuff. However, it leaked within days, first to a Royal Insider blog, then to a tabloid, and finally to the front pages of newspapers all over the world. However, it wasn't just the insult that set the palace on fire. It was a reaction. When Prince William allegedly heard the leaked video, his rage was instant and blinding. According to multiple sources, he confronted senior aides and demanded answers before reportedly issuing a stunning directive in private conversation with his father, King Charles. "Get her out. I will not have Kate humiliated like this again." These words, like the leak itself, were never intended to be public. But in a palace already trembling from a decade of internal fractures, from exit, health scares, and public skepticism, the fallout was swift. Buckingham Palace is currently in the midst of a family civil war. On one side, William is fiercely protective of his wife and increasingly assertive as the heir to the throne. Camilla, on the other hand, is embattled but resolute, clinging to the power she has built up over decades. In the middle, King Charles is torn between the woman he has waited his entire life to marry and his son, who now threatens to seize control of the monarchy. The public is watching. The tabloids are circling. Behind the scenes, staffers whisper that this is more than just a scandal. It's a tipping point because, despite the royal family's code of silence, one truth has emerged louder than ever. This time, the wound may not close. The first ripple arrived quietly. An anonymous submission to a mid-tier royal gossip blog posted at 2:13 a.m. on a Tuesday with the subject line reading, "Camilla was recorded slamming Kate and it's bad." At first, it appeared too hazy to be taken seriously. There's no audio. There is no named source. Just a paragraph claiming that Queen Camilla made a cruel remark about Catherine, Princess of Wales, at a private Windsor event. The previous weekend, however, within 24 hours, the story exploded. The blog post was picked up by an online royal forum that is known for exposing legitimate leaks. Then, a French tabloid claimed to have obtained a partial transcript of the remark, allegedly from someone on the Windsor staff. Finally, the Daily Mirror and The Sun both published stories with nearly identical quotes, and one phrase repeated across all outlets: "She was never made for this life." Suddenly it was everywhere. The BBC declined to confirm it. Kensington Palace made no comment. Clarence House did not respond to our questions. However, the damage increased during the silence. Royal reporters began digging. It didn't take long to figure out what the event was: a private luncheon at Windsor Castle for the patrons of two charities affiliated with Queen Camilla. There were only a few royals present, a few longtime palace insiders, and no journalists. This meant the leak had originated from within. According to a senior aide who spoke in the background, Camilla made the remark during a hushed conversation with a close confidant, a woman known for her discretion, but not for checking to see if nearby devices were still recording. It was supposed to be casual chatter, the aide explained, but she was sharp, blunt. She assumed no one was listening, but somebody was. A staff member in charge of managing AV equipment allegedly left a secure microphone turned on. That employee, whose name has not been released, was promptly removed from duty pending an investigation. However, it was too late. According to multiple sources, the clip lasts less than 30 seconds. Although the audio is slightly muffled, Camilla's voice is unmistakable. What about the context? Chilling. She allegedly stated the following: "The princess is beautiful, but she is too fragile, not designed for this world. She was not made for it. She folds too easily." The words were delivered with a dry chuckle, but it wasn't a joke for many people, particularly Catherine's supporters. It was an indictment. According to royal insiders, the Queen Consort's comment has reopened old wounds inside Kensington Palace. Staffers loyal to Kate were reportedly visibly shaken, and when William learned of the leak, he reacted immediately. He did not pause, he didn't ask if it was true, he knew what it was. Because, as one close aide allegedly told The Times, this is not the first time she has said something like that. It's only the first time the world has heard of it. And now, with the audio reportedly circulating behind closed doors among trusted media insiders and every major outlet demanding answers, Buckingham Palace is on the defensive. Clarence House has not denied the statement. In fact, they have refused to discuss it at all, which in the eyes of the public and the press has exacerbated the crisis. Because if Camilla said it and William responded as sources claim, this is more than just a media scandal. It's a public fracture in the monarchy's most crucial relationship, the current queen and the future queen. For decades, Queen Camilla has walked a fine line between quiet resilience and whispered controversy, but now her most private thoughts, which she once shared in the safety of velvet, draped drawing rooms, are at the center of a storm. And for the first time, the palace cannot spin or smother it. The leaked comment, confirmed by multiple insiders and partially transcribed by the press, was aimed at one woman, Catherine, the Princess of Wales. She was not made for this life. Too fragile, too cautious, she'll never make it. Those words spoken in the comfort of Windsor Castle among close confidants had a deeper impact than many realized. Because this wasn't just about Kate's public persona. It was a dismissal of her entire existence, and this was not the first time. Multiple sources now confirm Camilla's long-held skepticism, even resentment, of Kate Middleton's rise through the firm. It's not because she dislikes her, they clarify. However, she does not believe she is qualified for the crown. Camilla believes Kate lacks the steel, said a former senior courtier. She sees herself as someone who endured the media crucifixion, the years in the shadows, and she doesn't think Kate has had to suffer enough to earn her place. The irony, of course, is harsh because Catherine has suffered in silence for years. From the early tabloid ridicule, "Waity Katie," to the daily pressures of producing heirs to navigating global attention with almost no margin for error, Kate has maintained an extraordinary level of composure. She rarely speaks up, she never complains. However, Camilla believes that is part of the problem. Camilla reportedly sees Kate as too polished, too controlled, according to a family biographer. She calls it playing princess, not living the role. However, Camilla's comments reveal more about her than about Catherine. This is a woman who rose to prominence in the royal family through scandal. For years, she was cast as the villain in a love triangle, blamed for the breakdown of Charles and Diana's marriage, and relentlessly dragged in the press. Yes, she survived it, but at a cost. Camilla believes she earned her crown in blood, said a palace aide, and she doesn't respect anyone who didn't bleed to get there. And that's where the two women's quiet tension has always existed. Beneath the curtsies, photo opportunities, and carefully controlled smiles, Camilla is the battle-scarred survivor. But Kate, the unshakable star, one forged with fire, the other is secured by protocol. Camilla sees it that way. However, the general public disagrees. Catherine, they believe, is the crown's most valuable asset. She is elegant, uncontroversial, and widely adored. And for William she is everything: his wife, his partner, his protection from the chaos that has consumed so much of his family. So when Camilla's private opinion became public, the outrage spread beyond social media. It landed like a grenade in Kensington Palace. Because this wasn't a minor jab or slip of the tongue, it was a threat to Catherine's position. William's loyalty, and the delicate power dynamic within the House of Windsor, and the one person who refused to let it go, Prince William. 3. William's fury. I won't have her undermined again. The future King of England is renowned for his calm demeanour, measured, private, almost painfully diplomatic. But when Prince William heard the recording, he reportedly lost his composure. According to multiple insiders, he was livid beyond reason, not just as a royal, but as a husband, father, and son who had spent years shielding his family from the very public disrespect that had now come from within the palace. He listened to it once, one source claimed, then asked, "Is this confirmed?" When told it was true, his expression changed, and that was it. There is no discussion, just fury. The confrontation occurred less than 24 hours later. William asked for an urgent private meeting with his father at Clarence House. According to those familiar with the situation, the discussion quickly heated up. William reportedly did not raise his voice, but he did not need to. He was cold, controlled, but his words were like ice, said one courtier who asked to remain anonymous. He did not want apologies. He desired consequences. His reported demand was simple: get her out. These 3 words were not a call to abdication or scandalous exile. But they were clear. Camilla was no longer welcome in the Wales household's inner circle, not at strategy meetings, not in private planning sessions for the monarchy's future, and certainly not as a figure of trust within the structure William is about to inherit. "I won't have her undermined again," William allegedly told Charles. "I will not allow it. Not now, not ever. This wasn't only about Catherine. It was about a pattern." According to insiders, Camilla had previously made subtle or not so subtle digs at the Princess of Wales. While the two have always had a friendly public relationship, sources claim there have been years of backhanded compliments, dismissive remarks, and private power plays. One longtime member of the royal household stated bluntly, "Camilla never considered Kate strong enough to be queen, and William has known this for a long time. He just hasn't had a reason to act on it until now. What about now? The gloves were off." William, who had previously been deferential to his father's wishes, and the firm's internal politics, made it clear that things had changed. He is no longer simply a senior royal. He is the heir apparent, and he is prepared to lead on his own terms. He told the king, "When my time comes, I will not carry her." That quote astounded everyone. There was a line in the sand for King Charles. The moment was devastating. He is described as torn and humiliated, torn between his wife and his firstborn, history and legacy. Those closest to him say he never imagined things would escalate to this point. He underestimated the severity of the leak. He underestimated William's resolve. Above all, he underestimated his son's fierce protectiveness of Catherine. Because to William, this was more than just one insult. This was about a breach of trust, a public embarrassment that mirrored painfully how his own mother, Princess Diana, was once mocked behind palace walls. He saw it as history repeating itself, explained one royal watcher, and he refused to let it happen to his wife. According to sources, William and Camilla have communicated very little since their confrontation. Events have been attended from a respectful distance. Photo opportunities have been staged to avoid awkward proximity. Internally, staff have been directed to treat the Wales and Queen's households as operating independently for the foreseeable future. The message is clear. This is more than just a rift. It is a cold war within the monarchy. And what about the man who was mocked for being overly cautious, polished, and controlled? He isn't asking anymore, he's commanding. Because if Prince William is to inherit the crown, he will do so with his wife's full respect or not at all. 4. Kate silenced the pain behind the composure. About 600 words. In the days after the leak, As tabloids raged and headlines speculated, Catherine, Princess of Wales, did what she always does. She remained silent. No statements. There are no interviews. There are no counterattacks. Just a quiet appearance at a children's hospice event with a perfectly measured smile, clear eyes, and poised posture. In public, she appeared untouched. To those closest to her, she was unraveling internally. "She's been through worse," one aide stated, but this time it originated within the family, and that hurts like the press never could. According to Kensington Palace sources, Kate was informed of the leak the morning it appeared in the tabloids. She reportedly requested to hear the recording only once, and when she did, she said nothing but sat for a moment, nodded, and asked to be alone. She did not cry, not then. She held it in, according to a source. But later that day she disappeared into the gardens for more than an hour. Nobody saw her. When she returned inside, her eyes were red. For Kate, the wound was more than just an insult. It was a reminder of past pain. In her early years as a royal, she was frequently described in the press and even by courtiers as shy, too delicate, and not fast enough on her feet. She also faced whispers that she lacked Diana's fire, that she was overly deferential, too soft, but she persevered. And now, years later, to hear a senior royal, the Queen herself, echo that dismissiveness in private. It wasn't simply cruel, it was crushing. Those closest to her say the comment went deeper than any tabloid could, because this was not an outsider's criticism. It was a judgment from within the gates by someone who should have known better. She felt betrayed. A longtime confidant said, "I'm not surprised, just betrayed." However, she refused to retaliate. There were no palace maneuvers, no off-their-cord retaliation against the press. Kate's strategy, as always, was dignity and stillness. However, her absence has spoken volumes. Since the incident, she has declined several joint appearances in which Camilla was present. The schedules have been quietly rearranged. Even internally, staff have observed what one source described as a deliberate freezing of interaction. Kate is not asking for an apology. She's simply creating distance. "This isn't about revenge," said a couple's friend. "It's about protection. She refuses to return to a room with someone who does not believe in her. And while the world speculates, she continues to serve, shaking hands, comforting children, and speaking at events with the same grace that endeared her to millions of people. Because Catherine does not see the crown as a stage. It is a duty. However, this does not mean she will continue to suffer quietly. Not for the firm, not for Camilla. In every royal crisis, one person is caught in the crossfire. This time it's King Charles Roman III. He has spent decades defending his wife, protecting her from the media and gradually restoring her public image. Despite all odds, he succeeded. Camilla, once the most divisive woman in Britain, now wears a crown. However, no public relations strategy could prepare him for this. The fallout from the leak, combined with William's explosive response, has left Charles shaken and conflicted. Those close to him describe him as visibly distressed by what some are calling the most significant internal rupture since Harry and Meghan's separation. "He never thought it would come to this," said a senior palace official. He underestimated William's resolve and Camilla's words. Charles has not publicly defended Camilla, but he is said to be heartbroken by the growing divide between his wife and his heir. He is forced to choose between loyalty to the woman he loves and the monarchy's future. According to insiders, William has made the decision even more difficult. He made it clear that this is not negotiable. If the king tries to smooth it over, William will walk. Charles tried to mediate. Private meetings have been held. Advisors have been summoned. However, the message from both sides is stark. William won't forget. Camilla will not apologize. According to sources, Camilla is furious behind the scenes, not because of what she said, but because it was leaked. She believes she has been ambushed, betrayed, and left out to dry. doesn't think she did anything wrong. One royal aide stated she thinks William is overreacting and that Kate is playing the victim. Many people believe that this has only widened the divide. Charles, meanwhile, is running out of time. If he pushes William too hard, he risks losing the royal family's most valuable asset, a prince who is universally admired, particularly by a younger, more modern audience. But if he fails to check Camilla's influence, he risks permanently damaging the public's trust in a monarchy already battered by scandal and loss. This is his legacy, explained a royal historian. He either keeps the peace or he watches it all start to unravel. And with each passing day of silence, one thing becomes increasingly obvious. The House of Windsor is no longer united. It's split between the past and future, between crown and blood, between the current king and the successor. The House of Windsor has always relied on two principles, silence and symbolism. Silence is used to protect the crown, symbolism to convey unity. But both have failed. What started as an overheard whisper, a private remark from Queen Camilla that should never have left the room, sparked one of the most dangerous royal crises in a generation, not due to a scandal, but because of what the whisper revealed. It exposed fractures that were too deep to patch, grudges are too old to ignore, and a royal family at odds with itself. Prince William did not lash out in public. He did not issue a statement. He did not vent his rage to the tabloids, but he didn't have to. His message. Charles, Camilla, and the entire establishment was crystal clear. I will not let my wife become another casualty of this institution. Diana's words echoed loudly, because this time William is not a child watching his mother cry behind palace walls. He is a man, an heir, and a husband who perhaps more than anyone else understands that the greatest threat to the monarchy is not scandal, but the repetition of history. Now Charles must decide. Support the woman he waited his entire life to marry. Alternatively, he can preserve the legacy he wants to leave to his son. Camilla, for her part, maintains silence. But behind that silence is a storm of indignation, a refusal to apologize, a conviction that she has earned her place and does not need to answer for a single word. And Catherine, she simply endures, not because of weakness. However, I have run out of strength, because the Princess of Wales has nothing more to prove. Not to the press, not to the palace, and especially not to those who still doubt her worth. What happens next is unclear. Reconciliation, realignment, or is it the crown's greatest fear, internal revolution? One thing is certain, the monarchy will survive. But when the throne changes hands, the memory of this moment, this rupture, will be etched into its golden frame.